Okay, so yep. Hi everyone. I'm really excited to be here. And yes, I am in Tokyo and it is 6 a.m. here. I thought it was actually gonna be 7, but anyways, it's totally fine because the sun's out early, so it helps me wake up earlier too. But anyways, today I'll be talking about my journey just working in women's health, but also something really pivotal in that whole journey is my PMOS/PCOS diagnosis. So I'll really get into all that detail soon. But firstly, oh, how do I? Can you guys see my next slide? Oh, okay,
Yeah.
there it is. Thank you. Sorry, I'm not the best at like doing this, but okay. So a little bit about me. Yes, my name is Anne. There's a lot going on here because I thought I would make this interesting, but maybe it's slightly overwhelming now. But yes, like I am normally based in Sydney, Australia. I went there for uni, so it's an amazing place. I think most of you guys might be in the US, but if you ever come to Sydney, please let me know. And I am the founder of Still Her Tea. So we are an organization that makes women's health education fun and accessible. And there's a QR code if you want to scan it, because that's where you can get like the podcast on Spotify or Instagram or TikTok or whatever. It's just all easy in one. So that's what the QR code is there for. You're probably going to see it pop up a bunch of times too. And then I am also a content creator on Instagram and LinkedIn, but I am a freelance ghostwriter and like social media creative also for women's health companies. So I work really closely with women's health, which is what I love. Next. Okay. So I guess before I share my whole women's journey with you guys, I kind of have to share where it all began. So in year four, I read this book called Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. And I don't know if you guys also have also read the book, but this is like my period awakening because this is when I first discovered what a period even was. It's when I first heard about a period. It's about the girl going through like teenagehood and get her friends getting her period and eventually she gets her period. But that made me so curious about, what a period is. And then um I would ask my mom. Oh, yeah, someone said you've seen that movie. Yeah, actually, I haven't seen that movie yet. I do want to, but the book is really great. But yeah, I was asking my mom, like, oh, well, can you tell me more about periods? But she thought I was too young, so she wouldn't tell me. So then I would go to like my primary school library and borrow books about puberty. And it's so funny because it was like the cover of the book has like naked women with their boobs out. And then we have to put our books on our table. And I had that book on the table, and my assistant teacher would just look at that and laugh. But at that time, I just thought, what's so funny? I'm just curious, but it's kind of funny now if you think about it. And then this notebook is just a photo of also me in like year four, and I'm just asking questions about like periods. It's just here, like, when am I gonna have my periods? Like, where do I buy pads and tampons? And I was really curious about women's health. So that's like proof there, which I love. And then, ah, okay, there you go. So, oh, how do I go back then? Oh, okay. So flash forward to high school. I was a bit, indecisive like this image here, and I couldn't exactly figure out what I wanted to do. I mean, it kind of makes sense because I'm still so young in high school. I think like most of you guys are. And but then all my friends would know what they want to do, and I was like, oh, I want to be a midwife, but then I also wanted to be a children's health nurse, especially I wanted to specialize as a neonatal nurse practitioner like this, but in the end, I ended up choosing medical science for university because I just felt like that was a bit more general so that it was easier for me to then choose later on. And then I also did a minor in marketing, all in the University of Sydney, because I felt like if I did science the whole time, I thought I might go crazy. So I wanted to do something fun and creative on the side. At first, I thought it was random, but now that I am a founder in women's health, it's actually perfect. And then I will be honest though, I didn't really enjoy my course at the beginning and I wanted to drop out of a lot of times. There were some classes where I was like, oh my God, I didn't really enjoy it. But around my third year of uni, I started getting interested in embryology, so looking at like egg cells and sperm cells. And I wanted to become a clinical embryologist and work in an IVF clinic to help for couples who are struggling with fertility to fall pregnant and have a child. So that's why in my honors year, which in Australia is like an extra year where you just add it into your bachelor's and you just do research that whole year. So my research project was in embryology, and that's a photo of me with my research work, and I got to work with cow embryos, cow sperm, and I even did like IVF with cow sperm and everything. That was a really, really cool experience. But then after I graduated, this job market really hit me like a truck, and this meme just kind of explains what I went through. But it was difficult because I kind of like faced the reality of life, I guess. But also just that I found out that in Australia, the IVF industry is actually kind of exclusive. So it's really hard to get a job from outside, and a lot of times they hire internally. And so some people are saying like, "Oh, why don't you work as an admin in the IVF clinics?" But I realized I don't think I wanted to be a clinical embryologist that much to do jobs that I don't like for a few years just to then get into that industry. So then I was kind of having a quarter life crisis. I was like, oh my gosh, what is it that I want to do? Because I did this whole year of research thinking I was going to go into clinical embryology. And then, so that I was thinking, and then I was like, oh, I was looking at birth and postnatal doula certifications, training. And basically, for those of you who don't know, a doula is someone who provides non-medical support for women who are pregnant, birthing, and postpartum. So it's kind of like the non-medical version of a midwife. So we can't do any medical procedures, but we can provide all that, emotional, physical, mental support. And that was really, really awesome because this here is like when I got certified with my other friend who also got certified as a doula, and we got trained by a very, very experienced doula. So I think I learned so much more about womanhood, pregnancy, birth, postpartum than I did anywhere else in like my medical science degree. So, and I also got to attend my first birth, which was amazing. If you guys have ever seen a birth before, it's just so magical, like getting to witness life. That's so, so cool. So, yeah, that was a really, really awesome experience. And then, so at this point, after I got certified, I was like, okay, I know I wanted to start a business, but I thought it was going to be a doula or like a childbirth education business. So, related to my training. But then there was the pivotal moment that came last year in August when I got diagnosed with PMOS, or previously known as PCOS. And I made this cute meme because I thought it was pretty relatable. But before I begin like my diagnosis journey, I wanted to first explain what even is PMOS. So PMOS stands for polyendocrine metabolic ovarian syndrome. So polyendocrine equals many hormonal systems are involved. And the metabolic means metabolism is involved, and ovarian means it's related to ovaries and the hormones released by them. And so 1 in 10 women are diagnosed with PMOS, but I do believe that the statistic truly is actually higher because there are a lot of women who are undiagnosed and they remain undiagnosed because they don't know. And actually, it used to be called PCOS until only recently. Like at the beginning of May, it changed. That's why I'll just use both titles for now because I think some people might be used to PCOS more. And cheeky self plug here, but I actually made this episode on the Spill Her Tea podcast about the whole PCOS to PMOS name change. But basically, the TLDR is that they changed it so that the new name is much more accurate to what the condition actually is. And so, like, here are some not fertility, symptoms, which I'll go through more later. So, I think to understand PMOS, you kind of have to understand the whole diagnosis criteria, how to get diagnosed with PMOS. And so you must have at least two out of the three following. So the first one is irregular periods. And this would look like, for example, you might have one cycle that's like 34 days, and then the next one is like 48 days. It's just so random that you just can't tell when your period is going to come because it never comes at this like timely pattern or manner. And then the next one is high levels of androgens or like male sex hormones like testosterones. And so this might show up either as high levels in your blood test or it might show up physically, for example, through hairy body parts, thick body hair, um, acne, cystic acne, things like that. And then the last one is polycystic ovaries or high AMH, otherwise known as anti-Müllerian hormone levels. So polycystic ovaries, this is how it looks like. So basically, this is what a healthy ovary looks like, and this is what a polycystic ovary looks like. I'm assuming you guys can see my cursor. I hope you can. Um, but polycystic ovaries mean that there's actually a lot of like these multiple immature follicles, and none of them are actually fully developed compared to normal or ovaries, where you should have like at least one that's like fully developing. And so, because of this, though you have like a lot of eggs, it's not actually good because none of them are like properly developed enough for ovulation. And so the high AMH is like another way, an indicator that it just means that you have a lot of eggs in your ovaries. Again, it might sound good, but it's not good if it's too many because basically, if you think about it, if you have way too many eggs, then your ovaries do not have enough supplies for everyone to grow properly. It can be divided, like if it's divided by everyone, they just don't have enough for each egg. So that's what happens. And so now that you know the criteria, I'm going to share my diagnosis journey. So I actually learned about what PMOS was on social media a few years ago. So not even in school, not even in high school, not even in university, but in social media. And because I learned about it, I was like, this sounds familiar. I do have irregular periods. So then I started doing my own research. And this book, Endo Unfiltered, is one of the books that I read during my research. Well, this one is for both endometriosis and PCOS, but I highly recommend it because it is by a woman who has both. So she shares her experience. And then I kind of just like left it be because I was like, oh, maybe I'm being dramatic. Like, I'm self-diagnosed quite a lot, and I can't trust everything that I see on the internet. So I just left it at that, which kind of frustrated me. But yeah, I was like, oh, maybe I'm just being dramatic. But then in 2025, my cycles became really irregular. Like I would have cycles that were more than 70 days long. So it's like almost every 2 months I get my period. And I was like, okay, this is not good. This is not regular at all. So I put my foot down and I was like, I need to see a doctor, a GP. Because in Australia, you have to see a GP first or a general practitioner first before you do anything. And so I went to my GP and I was like, hey, I have pretty irregular periods. Like, look how long my cycles are. And, I feel like my arms are kind of hairy. They used to be like hairier than some of my male classmates in high school. So I felt like, I thought I might have like high androgen levels. So then she's like, okay, you know what? Yeah, let's get you checked out. So I did a blood test and I did an ultrasound. And so I have these two pictures here because I thought I was just gonna do the normal ultrasound that you think of when you kind of like put it on the belly and see what's going on in your uterus and ovaries. But they told me that actually this one is a lot more accurate. And this is a transvaginal ultrasound. So it's like it as it sounds. You actually have to kind of put it slightly inside your vagina. And I want to talk about this because no one told me that I ha would have to do this in my diagnosis. And so, like, if you guys are interested or thinking of doing a PMOS diagnosis, I just wanted to mention this just to like kind of have you prepared in case you might have to do this as well. For me, I was lucky. They were created a very safe environment for me and they actually let me put it in myself. You don't have to put this whole thing on, by the way. It's like maybe like this much. So it's not too much. But still, it was kind of surprised just because I didn't expect that I would have to do that. A little bit shocking, I guess. And so, if you are planning to get diagnosed and you're going to do an ultrasound, and if you're allowed to, I would totally recommend bringing like someone you really trust, like a family member or a friend or a partner, someone, just so you don't feel as alone doing this procedure. But yeah, that is just something that I wanted to preface. And then here are my diagnosis results. Um, so my blood test actually came back totally normal, which was kind of weird because I don't know, I just thought I might have high testosterone levels, but I didn't. And also, people with PMOS tend to have pretty high insulin resistance as a result of those high hormones. But I guess because my hormones were totally normal, my insulin resistance I didn't have any, which was great. And then here my ultrasound. So these are actually two of my pictures. This is my right ovary and this is my left ovary. And they showed that I had polycystic ovaries and that both of them had more than 20 follicles. So like 20 like follicles are the sacs where the egg is in. And so you're not supposed to have like more that many. And I had a lot of like immature ones. So normally I think in a normal ultrasound you would see like bigger and less holes. But look here, I have like so many. So yeah, that's my polycystic ovaries. And then self-plug again, but I did create an episode about my whole journey if you want to learn more. Back then it was called PCOS. When I was diagnosed, it was called PCOS. That's why it's called PCOS. I should probably update the name. But it was also the very first episode of Spill Her Tea podcast to kind of just like set the scene. So yeah, if you're interested, there's that. And then I started managing my PMOS through, yeah, doing my own research, looking at what worked for other people and working with a dietitian. And I feel like my cycles have become more regular, which I'm really, really happy about. And so, yes, I feel like if you do have PMOS, I suspect you might, like it's really great working with a professional who's accredited like a dietitian because they can give you proper advice. Especially mine was specialized in women's health. And I feel like that's always good. She has PCOS herself too, so she like really understands what's going on with my body. Yes. But because of this whole situation, I guess I was like really, really frustrated because I kept thinking, oh gosh, if I was only diagnosed much earlier, oh no, if I only learned about PMOS like in high school or even university, I would have gotten diagnosed much earlier because I would have realized, oh, my irregular periods, they're not healthy, they're not normal, I need to get it checked. I kind of just thought they were normal and accepted it. And so that's why I never, went to get myself checked and got diagnosed. And so I kept thinking, gosh, like I would have gotten diagnosed so much earlier. And I'm sure that there are so many women who relate to this. And then there are also women who just end up never getting diagnosed ever as well because they just don't know. And so these photos all just like express my frustration back then. And so I actually decided to use this frustration for good. So, in the beginning, I was saying after I got my doula certification, I thought, oh, I was going to start a doula business or a childbirth education business. But I was like, from this frustration, realized, no, I actually want to do more about like women's health conditions and in general, all these aspects of women's health, not just focusing on pregnancy and birth, but just everything. And so that is how Spill Her Tea was born. And so I'm really, really proud of Spill Her Tea. And we make women's health education fun, juicy, and accessible. So currently, as I mentioned before, we have this podcast and it's available everywhere, Apple, Spotify, Substack, yeah, pretty much everywhere. And at the same time, I am currently building the world's first game about period health. So I have not shown this prototype to anyone yet, but this is like a little prototype of the cards that we've been working on. So I work with my graphic designer on this. We've been working really closely, and we're actually I've ordered my first ever like proper prototype of the cards, which my graphic designer has designed. So I'm really, really excited to just like see it. And I'll also be posting like my updates on my Spill Her Tea Instagram and TikTok. So yeah, I'm so excited. And I hope that, if any of you guys are interested, you guys will also love it because it's all about learning what a healthy period looks like because we really don't know unless we learn about it because we don't, well, at least I never learned about it in puberty class or sex ed class in my school. And then in the future, what I'm planning is again more card games and also different aspects of women's health. So probably like also pregnancy and menopause, just everything, because it's all interesting and it's all important to learn about. But I also want to host more workshops, although they will be in Sydney. So I guess some of you guys might probably not be able to attend it. But if you ever come to Sydney, it might be a good idea. So yeah, just more fun workshops where women can also just like learn about women's health and women's education, but in a really safe space as well. Because that's important too when a lot of topics are considered taboo. And then at the same time, as I mentioned before, also work as a women's health freelancer. So I work quite closely with women's health brands, especially, but also like other female founders too. And this is just an example of like, oh, some of the work that I did and some of the results that I had for LinkedIn. Um, I can't disclose my ghostwriter contents because that's like kind of personal. So I just put the stats up there. But this is kind of cool because it was unintentional and that I wasn't trying to be a freelancer, but I think when I was posting on Instagram and on LinkedIn, that just created this public portfolio. And so, like, founders would come to me and they'd be like, oh my gosh, I like what you're doing. Can you do this for us? So then that's kind of how I accidentally started becoming a freelancer. And that's why I'm such an advocate for starting posting on Instagram or LinkedIn when you guys are young. Like, right now, I just recommend it because you will open up so much more opportunities for yourself, like things that you wouldn't even have imagined of because you wouldn't know unless they reach out to you, right? And so, yeah, I really, really recommend that. That's like my biggest advice, I guess. I wish I started posting on LinkedIn earlier because I think LinkedIn has brought me the most opportunities. So, yeah, that is my advice. And then lastly, where you can find me. So again, on LinkedIn, I'm Ann Chang, and then that's my Instagram and TikTok, a public Instagram and TikTok personal one. And then on Spill Her Tea, basically this QR code, if you scan it, you'll be able to find pretty much everything. Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok. So yeah, thank you so much for listening. And I was gonna open this up for questions. If you guys had any questions as well, feel free to ask away, either in the chat or vocally. Oh, sorry. I couldn't see everyone's thing and I see it now. So um I I am not sure if I can pronounce your name right, but Oluomachi, I see that you have your hands up.
Yeah,
If
got
yes.
it. Yeah.
Sorry, did I say your name right?
No, you said it right. You said it right,
Oh,
actually. Yeah.
amazing. Thank you.
And thank you for your presentation. I believe I came across you like on Instagram one time, but I watched
Oh,
like the whole video and I'm just like, I remember you from somewhere. I'm like, Ann Chang, I remember you.
thank you. Thank you so
Scrolling. I'm
much.
like, yeah, no, but I watched your video. I'm just like, okay, this is like very informational. And I am also passionate about women's health. I actually experienced something with my most recent menstrual cycle, like TMI, but not TMI.
No, that's
But I
totally
did, yeah, I did actually have this scenario where I was in class and I just kept
fine.
saying like it's hot. And I noticed the same thing happened with my previous menstrual cycle. And it's just like it's hot. And
Yeah.
everyone's like, no, it's not. And I'm like, guys, it is hot in here,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know? And then I'm
Yeah.
having intensive cramps and I'm like, like it is hot. No one else feels that it's hot. And they're like, girl, go to the nurse. I'm like, I don't know what this nurse is gonna do for me. So
Yeah.
this actually happened yesterday. My friend literally had to like trick me. Like she said, we're going on a walk. She like
Yeah.
literally dragged me to the nurse office, like, you're going. And I was just
Oh,
like, we gotta go back and tell our teacher. Like, no, we
yeah.
can't just like go to the nurse office. She's like, girl, like stay here and get help. And I'm like, okay. And then I'm feeling like two pockets behind my back, like right behind my hair where my hair is, like it's
Oh,
just hot
wow.
and
Yeah.
everything is like hot. So like and that
Yeah.
it's like people like talk about, oh, I'm on my period, like this sucks, but they don't talk about the pain enough and how women have to endure every single month, especially in school. School, you have sports, you have gym.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
goodness. And
Yeah.
it's like everyone has their different levels of period pain and not. So you speaking about this is very encouraging, very helpful to many young women who are watching you, just like somebody sees me. So thank you for your work. And I wanted to know how can I in my local environment, like how can I let people know like, hey, these are the stats, like women are represented in healthcare, especially
Mhm.
with periods. Periods is a whole different subset,
Yeah.
right? Like, how do I
Yeah.
let them know? How do I educate the people around, especially family and friends, like people who aren't
Yeah.
as, dedicated to knowing, that
Yeah.
this is the reality for a lot of women, and being aware about it and letting them help other people too. So I wanted to know your opinion on that.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. But firstly, thank you for, sharing your experience with us. And I hope that like the nurse actually helped you with your symptoms and everything, or like someone actually like provided you some answers. Because yeah, I've actually never heard like people experiencing those like kind of hot flushes during periods. So I think that's like also yeah something to definitely note as well. And yeah, in terms of educating people in your community, I guess this also really depends on who you are targeting. So like you said, your family might be different to the way you target like women your age, for example. And so. Well, I guess, yeah, with family, I think that's the one of the reasons why I also created, well, I'm working on this card game about period health is because I thought it would be a better way for people to just get together and kind of just destigmatize period health. And so like even families can play the game together and then they can learn about what a healthy period looks like in a fun and engaging way. Obviously, though, it's not out yet, so I guess I can't exactly recommend that yet. But yeah, I guess maybe just even starting the conversation little by little with your family, just like maybe not going all the way if some of them are not ready yet, but like trying to normalize every period, maybe even talking about some of the things you experience because for me, luckily I am all girls family as in me and it's like me and my two younger sisters. And so we are so open about talking about my periods that my dad just has to accept. He can't get away with it. So we've just like so normalized period talk for him. And I guess it'd be different. Every family has a different dynamic. So maybe just starting that conversation little by little, but every period being like, hey, I have my period now. And just like make it like like a normal statement, as in because it is normal, right? Like there's nothing to be ashamed of. It's totally normal to have your period. It's a common thing that we all go through. And then just be able to kind of like, even share, how they can support you, things like that. And just slowly, slowly, you could just share more as you go for like incremental for each period. But then as for maybe your uh, classmates or just like women around your age, I think that is much easier to approach like communicating with. And then that's where I really recommending creating content about it, like on Instagram, TikTok, or LinkedIn, just like creating social media content because that is such a good way to be able to spread information even to people that you might not be able to reach out to physically, but you can reach out to virtually. So that's why I'm such an advocate for that. But of course, if you're like not as, into creating social media, that's like totally fine too. Then even like starting initiatives. I mean, this initiative with Pink Policy is amazing. And you can always start your own in your own school, like starting your own club or extracurricular, yeah, I think it's a club, yeah. In your school about women's health and like just being able to talk about women's health with each other. I think that would be a great idea. So yeah, there's so many ways that you can do it, and there does not have to be just one way. But does that help? Does that answer help?
It does, and thank you. And especially when you were talking about the card games, I was like thinking I need to play this with my cousins and so they can know. So I will definitely
Yes.
be buying it as soon as it comes out. I
Oh
also
yes.
wanted to know, would you like ever like be interested in like making hoodies? Like I'm a hoodie person and I feel
Oh
like I read like when people wear hoodies, I read the back of them, I'm like, ooh, that's nice.
yeah.
So would you ever be interested in like making like hoodie designs or
Yes.
like down like those pants on like Aeropostale that has like the class 2026
Yeah.
on it. Yeah, like that, like a sweater tee or like something related
Yeah.
to that. Because I would definitely a lot of people I know are hoodie people and they definitely would like to wear that, and it would also be another way to spread awareness. Great
Yeah.
addition.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I was definitely thinking of some kind of merch, but hoodie and those pants specifically, that those are great ideas. I'm actually running a half marathon in July in Gold Coast, and I'm actually planning to like customize my own running t-shirt so that when I'm running, because it's like 21 kilometers, people are gonna have to look at my back. So then I'll have like some kind of spill her tea like running shirt as well. So people will just, it's like free marketing as I'm running. Everyone has to look at my shirt, but definitely hoodies and pants as well. Great idea. I would love to. And it would have like some kind of not like a cliche quote, but something impactful, like research related. So like people can read it and learn and be like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that. Or like, oh wow, that's so important.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And if you want, I actually have an idea in my head. I don't know if you can like drop any like email or anything, but I wanted to like send it
Oh
to you.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Maybe I'll just put my email in the chat as well. Does that
Okay.
help?
Yes, it does. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So I'll do that as well. You're so kind. Thank you so much for your question and for your comments. And then I see a question in the chat as well. Hi, thank you so much for your presentation. Thank you so much as well. Do you have any insights on activities that I could do to bring more traction to an online blog? I have a blog with my friends that focuses on women's health policies and the stigmatization of menstrual health. Firstly, what's your blog? I would love to check your blog out. And secondly, yeah, I guess with blogs, like I guess I'm not too familiar with blogs, but I think what would really help would be to post about your blog in other places. So for me, with my podcast, I really post about it on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and TikTok, just so people will actually learn and find my podcast because it might be hard to just not tell anyone about it. They have to kind of know. And I think a lot of my podcast listeners also come from LinkedIn as well. So, her voice edge. Okay, I will check that out. Yes, so if you have like an Insta as well or TikTok or especially LinkedIn though. I feel like LinkedIn is where there's a lot of people who are really interested in learning more. That's like the demographic that I think are on LinkedIn as well. So like posting on there and just don't worry about being annoying because some people will forget if you only post once. You gotta keep posting. And every time you have a new blog post, right? That's like a great way to make a post. Like you could make a series post about it. But every time you have a new blog post, that's a great way to make more content about it on Instagram or LinkedIn. Like I see these days also what's trending on Instagram is like these Substack carousels where they post carousels and it's like Substack. It's like one paragraph, two paragraph, and then they've got like a picture in the background. Um, I hope that makes sense because basically carousels with written stuff on it, that's a trend. So you could use that kind of trend, but on for your blog posts as well. Um, does that advice help? Yeah, no worries at all. And I can't wait to check out your blog as well. Um, does anyone else have any questions too? Oh,
I had a question.
oh yes.
When do you think your card game will be out?
Oh, great question. Yeah, I guess like this is my first time making a card game, and it is much longer than I thought it would be. But it's good because I think I don't want to, I don't want to like just rush it and then it turns out it's bad. Like, working with a graphic designer, and also I'm going to meet up with a renowned researcher in Sydney about women's health, like a women's health researcher, a period health researcher soon. So I'm also like checking, my cards and making sure like they're good enough. The education part is also well as well. I'm hoping maybe end of July, but it might be August. It might be August, but I will keep you all updated on my LinkedIn and on my Instagram. So yeah, but thank you for your interest in asking me. And oh yeah, Olomachi, I think you have another question as well.
I also wanted to know about like collaboration on your podcast if you were like open to doing that with like any team specifically so they can share their experience and also people can be like, yeah, someone's on there that like I sees me and I see them because I also have a podcast of my own and I really love the collaboration aspect. Yeah.
What's your
It's on
podcast?
volleyball. It's on volleyball. I think it's called what is it called again? I haven't like touched it in so long, like it's
Oh,
been a
okay.
while because it's
Okay. You
junior
can send it
year.
to me on
Yeah, I
the email.
will.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, during the email. Yeah, I will. But yeah, would you like be open to that or?
Yes, for sure. So I think what's like really important for me in my podcast is like I don't just get like professional. I mean, of course, professional experts are great, and but I just think there's already so many podcasts with doctors, researchers, things like that. Like Darius, CEO, Huberman Lab, things like that. So for me, I thought it's so important to actually have voices of people with lived experiences, and that's why like I have a lot of guests on with different types of conditions like endometriosis, fibromyalgia, POI, premature ovarian insufficiency. That's when you kind of have early menopause. But yeah, all these people who actually have that condition and they share their experience with me with a podcast to just talk about like what they experienced, how their diagnosis was like, and just to have more awareness so that other people can also understand what they're going through. But yeah, so that kind of experience aspect, lived experience aspect is really, really important for me. So totally down to do that as well, especially if you also have a condition that you feel like, oh, like no one really talks about this. That's amazing.
Thank
Let's
you.
talk about it. Yeah.
Exactly.
But yeah, thank you for your interest as well. Um, Anybody else? I think it is all good. Yeah, but thank you so much, everyone, for your time. And I had so much fun. I love talking about women's health, but also, oh, thank you for the claps. But yeah, thank you for your questions as well. I really hope that I helped. And yeah, I can't wait to see what you guys all do. Like, connect with me on LinkedIn. I'll connect back. I want to see what you guys are doing, what you guys are up to. I'm so excited for your futures as well because you guys have so much. Um, to do in the future as well. So yeah, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. I will have to leave soon though, just because I'm on my holiday with my parents. But yeah, thank you guys so much.